Okay, see if I remember how to do this. Welcome back to the channel. It's been quite a while since I last posted. There's a bit of a reason behind that, but we'll get into it. This is going to be probably not so positive review, so if you're looking for positive affirmation about this book, I would go ahead and scroll on. If you're more interested in having kind of a negative, not so negative, breakdown of the book and some real thoughts, then welcome. Before we get into it, my name is Bradley. I run the channel Books with Espresso. Thank you for dropping in to see me and see my thoughts on this book. But the reason why I haven't posted in a while, life. We all know, if you're like me and kind of struggling through life right now with the political landscape being a piece of fucking garbage, it's, what can you do? Things have gotten harder to kind of even get up out of bed and do, but here we are. Other than that, I did record like 2 weeks worth of reading material, or of like doing a reading vlog for this book in particular. And unfortunately, when upgrading my computer, I had thought I had backed everything up in 2 different locations. Conveniently, the only files that didn't make it were the ones for that vlog. So here I am, like a month after that, trying to figure out how to really convey my feelings that I had from then to now, because it's been a minute since I've read this book, and it's hard to kind of really portray real life feelings in context feelings after the fact, but I'll do my best. So, The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. This is one of the books that I had seriously anticipated reading all year since the announcement, I think 2 years ago, and since people were getting arcs of it at New York Comic Con back in October of 2024, and kind of giving it good reviews, some not so much. I went ahead and I picked this book up the day it came out. I was super excited. Started reading it that day, went out with my wife to shoot some B-roll and read it on a really nice day. I thought that with how short this book is, for context, it's about, actually, let me just look. For context, the book is 547 pages long for this American hardbook cover version, edition, whatever. A little about 550 pages, right? It doesn't seem like it should be a book that takes that long to get through. I've read longer in a shorter period of time. I've read books around that count in about a week, maybe 2. If I'm really struggling, hint, hint, I was really struggling with this book. But this really felt long, and it's not. That's not a good sign. And, you know, first, I'd like to say, for the people who really enjoyed this, I'm so glad that you found another Abercrombie book to devour, to really love, to really cherish, characters that you really enjoy. I didn't find that here. Really, to put it in a way that I saw online, that from another user, they put it in a perspective or in a way that really resonated with how I felt. If this were a debut book, brand new author, debut book, I would probably still rate it the same way I rated it, but I would see more potential in where that author could go, versus this is a new series from a veteran author, and it's okay. It's disappointing from the likes of Joe Abercrombie. We've seen what he can do with his previous series, the character work that he has, the ability to tie in very gray, very dark, very realistic character attitudes, along with a little bit of humor, along with some, I don't know, his Joe Abercrombie-ness. Like, he has a way of crafting a set of a band of characters that shouldn't be together at all, but they really play off each other well, that are unintentionally funny. Unintentionally, though he intends it, the characters aren't necessarily trying to be, but they are. That are realistic, that have realistic views on life, that have realistic views on themselves, that have realistic views on others, that work together with the world. And a world that feels pretty lived in, that you kind of don't really want to explore because of how shitty the people are, but it works really well for the narrative. And though he's not really, from my perspective, I've only really read First Law, the plot really isn't the main thing for him. He's not a plot writer. He's more of a character-driven writer. He does fantastic character work. And it all worked for First Law. And from what I hear, the second series following and all the standalones, it really works there too. I feel like he tried a bit more here to be a bit more plot-driven, and it didn't work. The plot is very, very standard. It's nothing new. It's nothing riveting. It's nothing special. It's a very bland plot. The world is ours, but slightly different. It's Middle Ages Europe, but you don't get that. Outside of them stopping at the character stopping at 2 or 3 places, you don't really feel Middle Ages. Though they kind of mention it here and there where we are, you don't really feel the environment. They're kind of just placeholders for the actions and the interactions of the characters, which, let's start with the characters. We are joining, and I'll try to keep it very spoiler free. If there are spoilers, I will kind of throw up a little thing, but we are joining a group of characters that are referred to as the devils. They are unsavory folk that do the work of the Pope that is less than ideal, but they get it done. They do what needs to be done for the Pope. They're bound to do it. And we are following a new priest who is the lead of this group, who has no experience with these type of folk, and they are trying to get a princess onto the throne. Through their adventures, they come up against folk that would rather see the princess and them dead to retain their power on the throne. And so we have a lot of altercations with that. That's the general gist of the story. That's all you truly need to know. There's nothing more to it. We are introduced with the priest, Brother Diaz. We're introduced with him. We're introduced with Alex, and I think the first few pages are actually phenomenal. We see 2 different perspectives that kind of cross paths without knowing that they're crossing paths. Until a little bit further in, maybe like 5 or 6 chapters in, where we get them to finally meet with the other devils. And the devil characters are in and of themselves, they are pretty bland. They're very same. It was very hard for the first 2/3 of the book to really tell the difference between them, and truthfully, the only way that I did was because I listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook narrator is fantastic with his voices. And it's the only way I could really tell who is speaking at the time, because they have the same personality through and through. So we then kind of run right into my main problem. I feel like Joe crafted this, sorry, I'm gonna call you Joe now. I feel like Joe crafted this book in a way where it might have been a 4 to 5 stars. It might have been really good. It might have been pretty decent first start for a new series. And I think his editors decided, hey man, let me pull you into my office. You know, the one thing that we're seeing that people like about you, it's the raunchiness. It's the raunchiness of your characters. It's how funny they are and how gruesome and gross they are. we're gonna need you to add a little bit more of that. And so he said, okay, I'll go back and do that. And he did, and they came back and they said, no, I don't think you hurt us. We need 90% of this book to be about sex jokes, fart jokes, puke jokes, my back hurts jokes, did I mention sex jokes, a lot of potty humor. Actually, we want almost all your characters to have potty humor and sex humor, and that's basically it. Nothing else. And so he did. And so it felt like for every fucking 5 pages, all we got was, I'm gonna go fuck that, or I would have sex with that. Oh, yep, it's up in my cunt. Like, or a character being like, oh, hey, I don't want to be here anymore. I would rather kill them, and then throwing up because of the curse put on him, or shitting himself because of the curse put on him. Like, or this specifically for one of the characters, Balthazar Ivan Draxi. His gag is that he is the butt of the joke for every joke for the first half of the book. It is the same fucking joke though. There is no changes in the humor from page 1 to page 500 and whatever the fuck I said it was earlier. Every joke with him is the same exact punchline. Same with 3 other characters. They're the same exact punchline. You know that when some character says a certain thing, this character is going to come in and then have that same punchline all the way through, and it made it insufferable. We sacrificed page count. This book could have been 200 pages lighter if we cut a lot of that out, if we took a lot of it and put it more well placed, more cleverly placed. But no, it was pretty much every conversation had those quips in them. Hell, the page count could have went towards making this world feel a bit more realistic, not just a setting to move the plot along. And even then, barely that, because problem number 2, we pretty much go, hey, we stop at this town, there's a skirmish. 3 weeks later, we're stopping at this town, there's a skirmish. 2 months later, hey, we're stopping at this town, there's a skirmish. It felt like he didn't know what to do. Like he didn't know how to involve the world at all to build it up. I understand that it is more of an urban fantasy. We're set into real life Europe. They are in, I believe, Italy the entire time, or sorry, from the Vatican to Italy for the entire time. You can still build up an urban world. Let's think about Jade City, Jade Legacy, Jade War. It's an urban world. While it's not ours, it's still heavily based off the real world. And yet Janloon feels lived in. It feels like a real world. If we want to go and talk about something that's realistic or that isn't true to real life, let's talk about Dresden Files. It's Chicago. It literally is just Chicago, but it is different. It is different than our real world, and Jim Butcher does a lot with the world to make it feel a part of the story. A lot of these places feel like backgrounds. They are background scenes for the foreground action. They're kind of not there. You're not really seeing it. And that's a problem. For an author of his caliber that has shown us what he can do with First Law, we then get The Devils, which it's like First Law is up here and The Devils is like the fucking bar for, again, a debut author, to get published. I would be like, hey, this is actually a pretty decent first entry for a debut author. It's got its problems, but let's see where they go from here. For a well-seasoned author, it shouldn't be, hey, it's got its problems, let's see where it goes from here. It should be, hey, this is pretty good. It doesn't remind me of First Law, but it's its own thing, and I think he's doing a good job of it. Let's see where it goes. Or it reminds me a lot of First Law. It's really good. People should pick this up. But it's not. It it just feels like he didn't know what to do. And that's it. And it's okay. Again, he's still a fantastic author. And because of that, the book is still pretty decent. You don't really, at least for me, I didn't really fall in love with the characters, or at least I shouldn't say the characters. I didn't fall in love with this very specific set of characters until the second third of the book. And in that second third of the book, they started to really kind of stick to you. Unfortunately, one of them is a character that is no longer going to be in The Devils, as far as I can tell. One of them is, and there's another one that I really enjoyed, but instead of continuing on with the very, and I should say obvious, but very decent character building that he was doing for this character, he decided to just say fuck it and then make a gag out of the end of the character's arc for this book. And that really irked me because it felt very reminiscent of the Game of Thrones TV show, where we have Jaime Lannister, who is going from being a really shitty sister fucker to somebody who actually has feelings and understands the world around him and the people around him, instead of seeing them as lesser than. And then he's like, well, fuck it, who cares? I'm gonna go back and be a sister fucker and die to her. It felt like that. We get a character who tells you that she's a bad person, she cannot control herself, she wishes she could, she wishes that she wasn't like this anymore, and you see her background the entire way through, and it was a beautiful background of, this is the type of person that other people always saw you as, so it didn't matter about what else you're harboring inside. But then she says, I'm going to own it. And that felt very powerful. You're writing a female character as a male author that has a little bit of agency behind her. She's not just the basic, hey, here's girl, she fights, she better than other girl. She's somebody who's struggling with her own self, regardless of the demons that she has inside. She's struggling with the person that she is and with the control that she has. And it felt great seeing during these skirmishes her control herself the way that we hadn't been told beforehand. We are now seeing that control. All for him to take it, rip it away, use it as a gag. An undeserved gag at that. So, needless to say, I'm actually pretty upset about this book. I've had a lot of time to kind of sit on it, and I'm more just disappointed. It was a book that I had been really excited for months, for a year, and it just fell well short of the mark. And it's possibly that it's my fault. I put way too much behind whether this book should be good or not before reading it. Way too much expectations for very little payoff, but I feel like that's just the world we live in now. We have high expectations for these authors. We hold them up on a pedestal, and instead of them making good on those expectations, sometimes it just falls short. But that just is what it is. I've been battling whether I want to get rid of this book or not, whether it's worth keeping. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. With it being seemingly an episodical style of storytelling, the next book has a lot of potential to be better. And so does the book after that. But I don't know if I want to hold on to it with the hope that book 2, book 3, however many he has in the series, is going to meet that expectation. Or should I just get rid of it? And if I want to read it later, I can buy it again. We'll see. But those are my thoughts on The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. I don't usually give star ratings, and so I'm not going to. More just overall feelings. Wasn't a huge fan of it. It is just okay. Bit of a disappointment coming from an author of his caliber, but what can you do? Hopefully the next one is better, but I am glad that I'm finally having the time to be able to sit down and chat. It's been way too long, and hopefully life is slowing down a little bit so I can continue to do this because I actually enjoy it. But I want to thank you all for stopping by, for checking me out. I know it's been a while, so for those of you that have come back after my long hiatus, thank you so much. For those of you who are checking me out for the first time, I really appreciate it, and I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button down below. It is not a requirement. I'm more just here just for my own sake, but having a community to build around sounds awesome. So please also check out some of my other videos if you would like. I think the 24-hour readathon has been probably one of my best, and I probably will go back to doing that. So, but until next time, see ya.